Delighted to be joined right now by David Buik, financial advisor, market commentator at Aquis Exchange and friend of the show. A very good morning to you, David. Can you hear me? Hello.
Empress, top of the morning to you. Lovely to chat to you.
Very lovely to speak to you.
I can hear you very well, Empress. Greetings.
Thank you very much indeed. Still waiting for that job title, but there we are. Maybe Deputy Prime Minister might be up for grabs soon. I don't know. What is your take? First of all, I want to talk about the economy generally, because that's kind of, you know, what affects all of our taxes, not just Angela Rayner's stamp duty. What do you make of the mess Angela Rayner has got herself into, and do you think she should have to go or not?
Unlike many others, I'm not actually levitating 3 inches above the carpet over this. I think there are much more important issues. Julia, the one thing I would say is the level of hypocrisy knows no bounds. I mean, it's just appalling. Particularly, she was an attack dog at every single Tory at every opportunity. And also, you know, exactly, if you look at Louise Haigh, Tulip Sadiq, and go back to Peter Mandelson twice, hardly the paragons of virtue when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I want cleared up more than anything else, and then there may be a case that she has to go, is the timing. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I have the deepest sympathy with her over her family, her son who is blind.
Well, okay, I don't know if she's even put that into the public domain, actually. I mean, he's disabled.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, that is a desperate situation. But from what I've been told and what I've read and listened to sensible people like you, is the order of which this has happened. When the purchase of the £800,000 flat in Brighton came up, or Hove, wherever it was, there was a human outcry from the media. The media wanted details. They wanted the drains up. They wanted to know exactly whether it was absolutely
well, no one could work
okay.
out. Why is she buying a place in Hove, not a constituency, not in London, not near her kids? And where did she get 100k from? I think those are reasonable questions.
Perfectly reasonable questions. But what I want to know is the order of what happened. Clearly, she rumbled or was rumbled to the fact that there was a £40,000 shortfall. Now, did she speak to her second?
Oh, he's frozen. David, hopefully we can get... Oh, David, we got you back. Sorry, you were going to say, did she speak to her second... We lost you.
Lawyer about the tax situation because she was rumbled or because she realised that there was a mistake? And I think this is where it tells. And I think Sir Laurie Magnus, in his capacity as the standards watchdog, will tell us exactly what this form is.
Yeah.
If everything is in order, I think we suggest we move on. But it does leave a very bad taste in my mouth.
Well, of course, if everything's in order. As I said, if she's got a letter from her lawyer saying, look, you give me all the information, and I think that you only due 30 grand in stamp duty, that's fine. If she didn't give all the information, I'm sorry, then it's on her. But she can't call for other people in similar situations to go and then say, oh, no. Look, I'm working class and I've got a disabled son, so I shouldn't have to go.
You can't play that card anymore.
She has.
Very boring and very, very unsatisfactory. No, you can't play that at all. And, the thing is that we need to know exactly the timing of this thing as far as I'm personally concerned.
Yeah, that's the key thing. Okay, and also don't criticise journalists for asking questions and then those questions arose and then you actually seek advice and it turns out the questions were perfectly fair. But there we are. I'm sure we would all agree that the people whoever it was who sprayed graffiti on her home, the house of the home where she's got a 3-bedroom flat in Hove, calling her a tax evader and then the B word, absolutely unacceptable and criminal. And I very much hope they were arrested and charged very soon. Let's bring it on to Rachel Reeves, who interestingly this morning has given her full confidence, and she has full confidence in Angela Rayner. I'm not sure that will give Angela Rayner much confidence herself. But whether we have full confidence, whether you have full confidence as someone who understands these things better than most of us in the budget, we know now it's going to be on the 26th of November. Very late for a budget. It was October last year, but fair, they'd just come into office in July and apparently they found this £22 billion black hole. We're now told by many experts that there's a £50 billion black hole. Is there?
Well, the answer is that it's only an opinion. The black hole, the £22 billion, when we had the drains up, we realised that Labour was responsible for half of it, which was the increase in salaries for all the public sector workers, which came in at around £13 billion. Now, there's no question of doubt, because the level of yield, now I'm going to try and explain this very simply, is the fact is that the black hole is caused by the amount of money you get in from revenue against the amount of money that you actually have to pay out or borrow. And that is the black hole if there was one.
Yeah.
Now, there's no question of any doubt of whoever was responsible for that spurious 22 billion black hole. It's sure as hell by the 26th of November, it's going to be a hell of a lot bigger than 22 billion.
Yeah.
Whether it's 30 billion, whether it's 50 billion is pure conjecture. All I can say, which worries the pants off me, are three things. First and foremost, when I consider that there are 9.2 million people economically inactive in this country, which is 21% of the population, when I consider there are 3 million people drawing permanent health disability, currently costing us £40 billion a year, which will cost us by 2032 £80 billion a year.
Ouch.
I am a worried man.
Yeah.
And what has happened, because this government cannot spell, let alone implement, cuts in public expenditure, which is absolutely a prerequisite if we're ever going to see growth again. And it's really, really important. And what we do know is that, and this I find absolutely fascinating, we've had 5 cuts in interest rates since Labour came in July of last year. Bond yields gone up.
Yeah.
And now when you look at the 30-year, it's about 5.6%. If you look at the 10-year, it's about 4.7%, very roughly. It might be a little bit lower since you and I spoke. But the fact remains is, believe it or not, these are higher levels than when Liz Truss had that awful...
And they're higher than, Greece is paying. Can you explain, because like most of us who don't play the money markets won't have a clue, like why the bond yield, for gilts, or, why that has an impact on us. Can you explain
Absolutely.
Janet and John it for me?
Yeah, no, it's quite simple in a way, but I think people need to know the size of it. When dear old Ken Clarke, the Ken and Eddie show, going back to 1997, before Gordon Brown became the Chancellor, the total borrowing of the UK government, there's only 28 years ago, Julia, was £350 billion, right? Today, £2.7 trillion.
Yeah.
Now, if you see interest rates, not the official ones that the Bank of England come out, but what the public perceive, which is investors who buy our gilts, which are bits of paper, it's a loan to the government, that when you see rates have gone up, best part of 1% in 6 months, well, it doesn't take the brains of a rocket scientist. It's what it costs to actually pay extra for funding that debt.
Right.
And
so this is basically like a massive big mortgage, and the rates have gone up massively. But we're paying, certainly the last time I looked, it was like £110 billion a year just to pay the interest on effectively the mortgage on the country.
That's exactly right. And that's why we're going to have
more than defence, more than education put together, and a couple of other departments too.
Yeah. And health and all these other things.
Every penny we spend servicing that debt, every penny extra we have to spend to basically pay the interest on these gilts, these loans to the government to cover our big debt, that's a penny that we're not spending on education or health service or policing
or defence or whatever it may be.
Anything else.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah. And meanwhile, we're spending more and more. There's the thing, all the debate seems to be about this next budget, which is how much will taxes go up by? There doesn't seem to be any conversation within Labour about how much they need to cut spending.
Well, there's about 7 of them. The hot ones are obviously going to be inheritance tax. I think probably the betting tax. I know the betting tax, which is actually probably could cost, something like 25,000 jobs if it all goes wrong. And the one that this Torsten Bell, who's been appointed by the Chancellor, who's very left-wing, despises anything to do with growth in any way, is probably going to recommend a tax on banks. This would be, in my humble opinion, very retrograde. It's taken us 15 years to get back on the bridle.
Yeah. Bearing in mind, the people in the city, they used to pay something like 25% of all tax in this country. We do not want our banking sector going. We'll have to leave it there, but absolutely fascinated to talk to you. Great to get an expert on these things on. David Buik, financial advisor, markets commentator at Aquis Exchange. Thank you for that. Quick thoughts from Philip Ingram on all of that.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating, and that bit, getting the country to understand that this gilt rate is how much the country is having to pay in the country's mortgage, and we know how much
and the country doesn't have any money; it's taxpayers' money.
We know how much it affects us if our mortgage rates go up. And in 6 months, the country's mortgage rates have gone up 1%. incompetence by the person who's responsible for making sure
But it's also about faith in the competence of this government and the policies that they're pursuing. It's basically saying that the market's trading. And again, you can say, oh, these are just nasty people gambling. Yeah, to money markets, yeah, it is basically one big roulette wheel.
But that's what makes the world go round.
But that's the reality. We need people to want to buy, basically buy faith in our country.
And it's a measurement by those that understand economics and all the rest of it into the confidence of our politicians and their political decision making and our economic policies.
It's not party political.
No,
it's just the reality. Will they make money or won't they?
Correct.
It's just that simple, isn't it?